Okay, it may well be that a lot of you don't believe what I've said in previous videos about the fact that our government is joining forces with the Americans to set up a world government. They're just the apparatchiks for a global elite that is obsessed with the idea of world governments. Some of you won't believe that this is true. But I want you to bear with me for a while, because what I'm going to try to do in this video is to show you that we are now at a very, very dangerous phase of this, because the British police is about to be taken over by the United States. And I want you to think about the fact that if you are going to implement world government or try to implement it, you will take the two easiest pieces of the jigsaw first, and the two easiest pieces to merge together are the United States and the United Kingdom. This is an article which appeared in the Times called "A Pentagon Contractor Bids for British Police Deal." A giant American military-industrial corporation that helped to build the Guantanamo detention camp is bidding for a role in running British police, the Times has learned. KBR, a former subsidiary of the controversial Halliburton Group, is competing for the largest police privatisation scheme in the UK. The Texas-based multinational is seeking a slice of a £1.5 billion joint contract from the West Midlands and Surrey forces, which is intended to transform the way policing operates. The Times can disclose that the number of companies bidding for the contract has been whittled down from more than 200 to 4 consortiums, with KBR in the running, so it's got a very, very good chance of winning. The company confirmed its interest in the secretive tendering process. And it says that David Cameron is driving a radical police reform agenda. Now, when they use the word reform, of course, it's often anything but. Whitehall hopes that the scheme could solve the problem of how to cut 20% from police budgets while preserving frontline services. So they're claiming basically that this will be done to make the police more efficient. And I think that is something which we need to explore to begin with. Now, the government, of course, would say that the reason they're proposing to privatise the police force in this country is because the newly privatised police force will be more efficient. It seems as though with all the unemployment we've got in the UK, it's necessary to import an American company to run our police force. We don't have anybody, obviously, in this country that is capable of running the police force, or that's what the government would have us believe. But if you want to actually believe that what David Cameron says, that this Halliburton, KBR, or as a company, would be more efficient than anything we can offer in the UK, then just listen to what these American soldiers have said about the company and its handling of, firstly, the water in Iraq, and secondly, the food queues in Iraq.
My name's Ben Carter, and within the first week of being in Iraq, I knew that that wasn't going to be the company that I wanted to be with. Halliburton was hired to provide clean, safe cooking, cleaning, shower water for the military. One of Halliburton's employees saw something wiggling in the water in his toilet bowl, so I went and tested the water in our water storage tanks. There was no chlorine in them, none. The water we showered in every single day was extremely contaminated. And when I talk about contaminated water, I'm saying malaria, typhus, giardia, cryptosporidium. I mean, the list is really, really long.
Halliburton is accused by its own employees of exposing troops to contaminated water in Iraq.
When I tried to notify the troops that they may be exposed to a serious health risk, I was told that the military was none of my concern.
They were only concerned with making their profit and didn't care how it may affect the troops. Of the 67 water treatment plants that Halliburton run, 63 of them weren't providing safe water. And the Marines are showering in it every single day.
Tell me about that line over there. What line am I looking at right now?
That line is for the chow hall, where you eat.
Several times dining halls were attacked. All it takes is one Iraqi that's an insurgent, and because they knew what times we were going to eat every day, they knew when to expect to hit. And that happens because KBR won't go to a 24-hour feeding schedule where they just always have food ready. They won't do it because it saves them money. Because they get paid by how many soldiers they feed, not by how many soldiers they save.
Feeding the troops. The Pentagon has found some serious problems with Halliburton's work on that contract as well.
Pentagon auditors found that a Halliburton contract to provide food and housing for American troops had a staggering $1.8 billion in unsupported costs.
It was all a scam. Halliburton was charging $45 for a six-pack can of Coke or Pepsi.
So I don't think there's very much doubt that Halliburton and its subsidiaries do not have a reputation for being efficient, which makes it puzzling to determine why David Cameron wants to bring them in, why he can't use British companies to do the job if he's got to privatise the police force. But I think that it gets much worse than that. If you have a look at the Deepwater Horizon incident, which occurred last year, BP claimed that the shoddy cement work was caused by Halliburton. Halliburton has its fingers in lots of pies, it does lots and lots of different things, it's a huge company, and apparently it was responsible for the cement on the cap of the oil well, which was blown. And it says here, BP claims that Halliburton's own documents confirm that the company intentionally destroyed evidence that would have proven its cement work on the rig was faulty, and that it did so ahead of the trial in order to avert blame. So that was part of the story with the Deepwater Horizon, but I think it's also worth looking at the fact that Halliburton bought up the cleanup company, which was a little suspicious, I think, immediately prior to the disaster, which has led some to claim that the Deepwater Horizon explosion was actually a false flag event. It says here, instead of cleaning up the unprecedented catastrophe by the cartel's mega corporations Halliburton, Transocean and British Petroleum, these very same companies seem to be purposely killing our Gulf of Mexico under the pretense of cleaning it up, using the chemical dispersant with the trade name of Corexit. Now, Corexit is about 4 times more toxic than crude oil. Oil doesn't become toxic until it reaches 11 parts per million, while Corexit is toxic at only 2.61 parts per million. So a lot of people have been poisoned and will have illness for the rest of their lives because of this Corexit, which apparently has been very, very damaging. And that again was the baby of Halliburton. Given that Halliburton doesn't appear to be either an efficient or an ethical company, from these stories at least, it seems a bit puzzling that Cameron is so keen to have them running our police force. But I think it gets even worse than that. I have said that this is about world government, and I'm just going to show you a clip from an Alex Jones show, just the picture of what appeared, and it's about detention camps in the United States, which are now going to house political dissidents or anybody who disagrees with the government, basically. Now, Halliburton, quite alarmingly, has been responsible for setting up what are called FEMA camps in the United States. And FEMA camps are supposedly for the Federal Environment Management Agency to provide facilities for American citizens in the event of an emergency. But the thing about them is, the thing which is very alarming, is that there are many, many, many of them. They are absolutely huge. They are all over the United States, and there is plenty of evidence to suggest that they are introducing barbed wire, that they are activating food services, employing people to act as guards. So a lot of people are saying that these camps are being prepared, ready for martial law in the United States. And it's this company, this Halliburton, which is introducing this. I have thought previously that we don't have FEMA camps in the UK, but maybe we soon will have. And chillingly, there are acres and acres of plastic, what appears to be coffins, which actually the United States government says are coffin liners. And they say, it's quite normal to be collecting lots of coffin liners like this. But there are acres of them all over the United States. And one has to ask why they want so many coffin liners. It really is quite worrying. They're about the right size for a man to fit in them. Alex Jones once gave the name of the company. I haven't got the clip at the moment, but I did check out the company on Google, and the company does exist. And these containers are actually coffin liners. So you have to ask yourself the question why they need them. And then when you think that this company, which is organising all of this, is going to run our police force, is coming over to the UK, then, I mean, I've been in denial over these things for a long time, but I've finally come round to believing that it is true. I'm very, very worried indeed about this company coming over to run our police force. And I think you should be too. If you think that this is so frightening that you want to hide away, then I'm going to put up a poem which I think is very important to read, because I don't think we can hide away. First they came for the communists, and I didn't speak out because I wasn't a communist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I didn't speak out because I wasn't a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I didn't speak out because I wasn't a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak out for me. And if you don't do something about this, there will be no one left to speak out for you either.